Yeah, definitely. Well, good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Fouad Barakat. I'm currently with LA County Building and Safety. I've been with the Department of Public Works for over now, I think 34 years. I'll go into 35. And I've been with Building and Safety with over 26 years. So I'm currently the head of the building plan check section and affordable housing and our consultants. Uh, we have been presented with an opportunity to streamline the process for ADU garage conversions, and we were able to come up with a program that I believe is really unique because the difference between what we're going to present today and most of the ADU programs out there where they're submitting standard plans for approvals. This program covers the entire cycle, the permitting and inspection cycle, which is why it's so unique because it does include the entire process from design to plan check and then permitting and then inspection. So we're covering the whole process and we're streamlining that entire process instead of focusing just on the design phase and the plan check phase. So to start with, I'm going to introduce my assistant, Jovi. Jovi, go ahead and uh, introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, my name is Jovi. I'm in capital projects and with Fouad here in building safety. I'm a building plan check engineer, and I've been in building and safety only 5 years, but I was in flood control for 10 years actually before I came here.
Thank you, Jovi. And we also had Paige Vaughn helping us with this program. He actually was our building inspector, and he couldn't make it today with us. But we want to acknowledge him because he was a big part of putting this program together. Now, moving on, I would like to also acknowledge that there's an LA County ADU committee, and I'm not going to go through all the names. You can see them there. Okay, let's
see if I can. All right, got it. Sorry, we're just having some screen issues. Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry. Where do it here? Sorry for watching.
That's okay.
Good. Yeah, we're just having some screen issue here. See if I can share. Can they see the screen? Hello.
Can everybody see the screen?
You're not sharing right now, Fouad.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me see right now if I can do this. Hold on, give me a second.
No, it's okay. Take your time.
Yeah. Hopefully they can see it.
Yes, we see that.
Okay, can you all hear us?
Yep.
Yes.
So, okay, so just a little bit of history. Building and Safety serves, LA County Building and Safety serves over 9.8 million residents, over 4,083 square miles. And we have over 3.6 million housing units. 49% of housing units are single family. Approximately 1.6 million homes may be affected by this program. So that just gives you a little bit background that we in California, we do have a housing crisis and a tsunami of ADU permit applications. And we have a lot of angry people because they want those permits ASAP. So in order to meet that challenge, we came up with this program to streamline, and this is just to start the ADU garage conversions. Just to give you an idea, last year, the whole year, we had 1,300 ADU applications, and this year, so far, we have exceeded that. We have 1,600 ADU applications up to date, and approximately 400 are garage conversions. So that just gives you the volume of what we are dealing with. Now, LA County Board of Supervisors requested Building and Safety Division to create a program meeting legal requirements set by the state of California for expedited approval of ADU and JADU projects, a collaboration effort of many departments under the supervision and direction of the county building official, Mr. Juan Madrigal. In January 2023, the LA Board of Supervisors has approved an emergency declaration for California housing crisis. In response to the declaration, Los Angeles Building and Safety is making changes to streamline the plan review and permitting process to assist in the rapid delivery of affordable, safe housing units to include the following: ADUs, JADUs, manufactured housing, additions to existing residential units for purpose of rental, adaptive reuse existing commercial and residential structures, project home key, emergency and interim housing programs, and LACDA-sponsored multifamily dwellings. This declaration will include many changes to the existing building and safety process and procedures. Basically, Los Angeles County strategic plan includes the 3 C's: collaborative, courteous, and consistent. So that's our strategic plan. California, just a little bit background on ADUs. California laws, Senate Bill 1069 and Assembly Bill 2299 allow for accessory dwelling units to be developed on most single-family lots. More commonly referred to as granny flats and in-law units in the LA County, and as many as 1.6 million homes may now be eligible to add some form of second dwelling units. The intent of these laws is to boost opportunities for housing production and address the growing housing deficits. These new regulations now allow individual homeowners to play a significant role to increase housing production, and this program is being put in place to respond to these needs. Now, if you remember back, they passed 2 assembly bills, AB 2221 and AB 2234, concerning ADUs to basically they put limits on the plan check days. So if you have a primary dwelling that exists, first of all, there's no screening time. The first plan check has to be within 60 calendar days or deemed approved, and the rechecks are same as the first plan check. And then if you have a new primary dwelling with ADU and JADU post-entitlement phase, the screening time that was set at 15 days or deemed complete, and the first plan check was 60 calendar days or deemed approved, and the recheck is the same as the first plan check. So if a screening application is denied, a list of incomplete items and the description of how the application can be rectified must be provided. You can't just say denied. You have to actually tell them why, and in writing. Additional comments may not be provided at screening resubmission. They can be provided as part of the first plan check corrections. SB 97, the local agency cannot require correction of a violation in a primary dwelling unit as a condition of approval of an ADU permit unless it is necessary for protection of health and safety. This Senate bill is critical because that changes the way we do business when it comes to ADUs. Remember, we wouldn't issue any permits if there's a violation on a certain property. This law changes that when it comes to ADUs. We actually cannot stop issuing a permit for an ADU if there's a violation that doesn't affect the life and safety of the ADU that they're proposing. LA County recently sent a policy out in the past year to not hold legal permits due to code violations. All right, now we're gonna get into the definition of an accessory dwelling unit and a junior dwelling unit and the difference between those two. So an accessory dwelling unit is an additional or independent living facility required to provide provisions for living, sleeping, eating, cooking, and sanitation. It can be detached or attached with the primary residence. An existing space such as a garage, storage building, barn, storage building or an attached room can be repurposed as an ADU. ADUs are subject to separate life safety and fire hazard regulations from the main structure. A junior ADU is a separate living facility within an existing residence with its own cooking facilities, but not necessarily required to have its own private bathroom. A sink can be installed, but the sanitation facilities can be shared with the primary structure. Unlike ADUs, JADUs are considered part of the main structure and not considered a separate unit for life and safety and hazard regulations. As such, a soundproof fire-rated wall separating it from the main structure is not required. Now, the differences between ADU and JADUs: requirements: the maximum size for an ADU is 1,200 square feet, and for JADUs, 500 square feet. For an ADU, do they require a kitchen or kitchenette? Yes. And a JADU, yes. Do they require a bathroom? For an ADU, yes. For a JADU, no. Separate entrances for an ADU, yes. And JADU, you just need a door leading to the exterior. A fire-rated wall to the main structure, detached, minimum 6 feet away. If the ADU is attached, then yes, there's a 20-minute minimum rated door, self-closing and self-latching. For JADU, no, you don't need that separation. Independent sale allowed, no, and no for both ADU and JADU. Owner occupancy for an ADU, no. For JADU, yes, on the primary dwelling. So attached ADUs and primary dwellings shall have smoke and carbon monoxide detectors be interconnected on each side of the fire-rated wall, even by Bluetooth. That's acceptable. So attached ADUs can be up to 50% of the existing residential area, and attached and detached ADUs and junior ADU and the existing primary dwelling will need new certificates of occupancy for each. Now, what is an ADU and a JADU program? It is a customer service oriented delivery method. So that's what this program is all about. Educate owners and applicants on how to plan, permit, and receive inspections throughout the development process. Creates expectations for owners and building and safety personnel in partnering relationship. This is critical, very important for this program to succeed, creating that partnership. Reduces the number of inspections and streamlines final approvals. So this is also a critical part of the process is, I don't know about your jurisdictions, but in our jurisdiction, ADUs have been taken between 15 and 20 inspections to complete. That's just, that's way too high. But this program, what it does, it would reduce the inspections down to 5, maybe 6 inspections. And that's really a major improvement. And it does help a lot more the process than just helping them through the design phase and plan check phase, because the inspections is where time and money are spent and are critical. So when you actually tackle the inspection process, you are really, really helping the homeowners and helping this whole system being streamlined. So we also created the homeowners guide, which shall assist inspectors and owners with a guide to ensure consistency throughout the Los Angeles County. So we have that homeowners guide online, right? Yeah. So what we include in this program: online access to program documents, pre-approved standard notes and details, homeowners guide, inspection forms and checklists, administrative policies and procedures. This one, actually, we're waiting for approval from our management. Now, so the phase one would be to repair the existing conditions. When you go to on site and you check out an existing garage that's to be converted into an ADU, you're gonna first look at the garage conditions and see how you can repair it. So for existing single-story detached storage building or attached garage converted to ADU, existing section of a residence converted to junior ADU. This is adaptive reuse of existing structures. What's adaptive reuse? Adaptive reuse is a concept used as early as 1970s as the process of revitalizing existing buildings for a new purpose. It encourages sustainable development by extending a building's usage through recycling and conversion while minimizing reconstruction and demolition waste, providing both environmental and socio-economic benefits. So Building Code Section 1.8.10.1, this is the LA County Code, existing structures, replacement, retention, and extension of original materials, and the use of original methods of construction for any existing building or accessory structures or portions thereof shall be permitted in accordance with Building Code and existing Building Code as adopted by the California Department of Housing and Community Development. So existing Building Code Section 302.3 and 302.4, materials already in use in a building in compliance with the requirements or approval in effect of the time of their erection or installation shall be permitted to remain unless determined by the code official to be unsafe. This is critical, guys. These code sections give you the right to really accept some of the building as is. So it gives you, a way to streamline the inspection and construction process. This is very critical. Unless you believe it's unsafe, then you can allow it to be. I'll give you some examples later. Like materials shall be permitted for repairs and alterations provided that unsafe conditions are not created. New structural members and connections shall comply with the building code, except where alternative design criteria are specifically permitted. Create a programmatic approach to allow adaptive use of existing garages or similar structures by adopting a series of standard notes and detail sheets and streamlining the permitting and inspection procedure for the creation of new ADUs and JADUs. As pursuant to Building Code Section 107.3, the building official is allowed to approve a set of plans deemed as standard plans, provided that the applicant has made appropriate applications, paid the permitting and plan review fees, and that standard plan reflects the laws in effect at the time the permit is issued. So what qualifies for this program that we created? Of course, the best way to say what qualifies to actually say what doesn't qualify. So for phase one, no additions or increase in existing footprint, no slope in the property exceeding 1 to 3 horizontal versus vertical, no basement conversion, no unpermitted items, no structural irregularities per AC 716, no oak tree trimming or utilities in the way, no drainage, grading, or shoring needed, no new two-story construction, no engineering items to be installed, strong wall trusses, no new lateral demand exceeding 10% or gravity load exceeding 5% of existing, no roof other than gable roofing exceeding 6 PSF, triple walls greater than 14 inches if you have a raised floor. Only maintenance and some upgrades for conversion, single story and mostly box structures. Prescriptive method type 5 is applicable. Use prescriptive method for span index for roof rafters, headers, and ceiling joists. Fire-rated wall modifications may be needed. Retrofit of existing continuous footing, installation of new footing at the entrance, repair of rotted portions to extend life of building, assume seismic category E, assume additional less or equal 10% opening on existing walls is negligible. I'm going to turn it over to my assistant colleague, Jovi, to take over this portion of the presentation.
Okay, so for us, we have to develop program sequencing. So the step one, for sure, they would have to get an approval from regional planning. So in LA County, we're separate from them. So that's the first step. Second step, they open an application in Epic LA, or they can go to the district office. In there, they'll get an agency referral sheet from one of the screening staff. Step three, they'll resubmit that approved regional planning plan with the standard notes that we have and the T24 calculation, and also the completed agency referral items that we provided in step two. Step three, they pay the permitting fees. Oh, step four, they pay the permitting fees, and they sign the owner's acknowledgement form, obtain the combination permit. Part of this is part of this combination permit, and schedule the pre-construction meeting with the BSC staff before they leave the office or before we issue the permit. And then step five will be to attend the pre-construction meeting with the county inspector prior to the start of any construction. So the first step that we did, as mentioned before, was to collaborate with regional planning. So we work with regional planning on creating or revising their step-by-step guide. So it's actually available online in that link. The second step, like I said, we open an application. The applicants would open an application. They get an agency approval referral sheet from one of our staff, and then they could either apply online. We created this general step-by-step guide so that they can get the approval. They know how to do it. We're also able to assist them in the offices on how to use Epic LA. Title 24 also needs to be submitted. Step three, they come back to us with all the agency referral items. And then if they're coming in person, then they'll provide 2 copies. So that's going to be the approved regional planning plans, the standard notes and details, the Title 24, and like I mentioned, the completed agency referral items. At that time, we're ready to stamp the plans. So what is in the standard notes and details? So we created like 4 sheets. They're plan size sheets. So they basically have the following items in it: the administrative and agency referral requirements, the owner's agreement form. We have like basically the dwelling requirements that Fawad went over, the architectural requirements, which are the simplified version of our correction list that we have for plan check. We kind of wrote it into similar to a spec book. Then we added the T24 energy notes, the green building notes that we ask people to copy paste. And then we have the pre-construction inspection checklist that we developed for this program as part of the mandatory inspection process. And then we've had these issues before where we have the elevation of the ADU in the back is lower than the one at the front. So we have issues with the sewer lateral. And so before one of our mechanical engineer left, he created this backwater valve form. So we included that as part of our standard notes. And then details, we created some details. Some of them are kind of hashed out from our type V sheets. We have the details for the roof, typical partition, non-bearing partition wall details, fastening schedule, and the header details. In the back, we added some provisions for the fire-rated walls. Some of the typical foundation retrofit that we've encountered so far since we've had the ADU projects, we kind of developed some of those details. And then we kind of hashed out the wood bracing schedule based on our residential code, and we provided that. The only difference is that we kind of extended a little bit to E. And then we always get this question from all the applicants. Do I need a registered engineer? Well, we kind of break it down. So we're still in phase 1, which is just garage conversion or ADU conversion to dwelling units. So for that, they don't need any engineer for that. Our architectural plan should be more than sufficient. We added the link to the website. So our website is here. The single story conversion notes and details that I've shown earlier are there in the website. And also we develop a homeowner's guide, so it's easier for them to understand what we're doing as part of the inspection. So this is kind of like the front of our homeowner's guide. It's a planning guide, a roadmap for construction. It explains the inspection process in layman's term. It took a while for Paige to develop this actually, to make it like user and friendly for any of the homeowners. And we created like inspection checklists for ADU, JADU, and pre-construction. And it's actually a user-friendly guide for any ADU, JADU construction that fits this program. And then the owner's form is kind of like very essential. None of these would be applicable if the owner's agreement form, which is at the bottom of sheet 1, is not signed. So they go pay the fees. The owner shall sign the agreement form before we start stamping everything, and then obtain the combination permit and schedule the pre-construction meeting with our inspector staff, which they were trained about this program earlier this year. What's in the owner's agreement form? Provide the construction inspector with all the required paperwork, provide the necessary upgrades as required for the project, provide safe access, which is important, and the permission to enter for an occupied project sites, and additional submittals and or deviations if needed for that particular project. And they'll pay fees for canceled inspection. And if there's any hazard situations that happen, then there's a potential revocation that is our right to let them, that is our right to impose on them. So this is the pre-construction inspection checklist that the owner should know. We gave it to them so that they know what to expect. And then the backwater valve form, if, when they're doing the inspection, the elevation in the back is lower than the front. So yeah, and they have to put some pump or anything else for the sewer lateral, then we added up form. And then step 5, as mentioned, we have to schedule the pre-construction meeting. And the pre-construction meeting is required prior to any building inspection. Pre-construction meeting is intended to create expectations of the inspector based on observations taken during the existing conditions. Levels of experience will vary. Inspectors are required to address the items in the checklist at a minimum to help prepare the owner and the inspector for each inspection. And pre-inspection requirements for foundation or footer depth and other concerns should be noted and pointed out at this stage. So we have building and safety personnel, which are permit technicians, shall schedule that pre-inspection meeting prior to start of any work or an inspection that is not the pre-construction meeting. On-site inspection shall include the use of pre-construction checklists as a guide for the inspector to communicate with the homeowner for building inspection and approval process. And then the assigned inspector shall conduct a site review of the building and site conditions and document any or all of the discrepancies on the pre-construction checklist that are readily identifiable or discoverable. And building inspector shall provide locations of excavation if needed, as required for verification if underpinning is required, and a brief review of the inspection and approval process per the ADU, JADU inspection checklist. And this is a sample. We want to go over the inspection checklist.
So basically, as you can see, the entire process is predicated on the homeowner signing that agreement that they will accept a pre-inspection and will have a pre-inspection meeting with our inspector to go over the site conditions of that existing garage. And they will have a checklist prepared of all the discrepancies and the issues that they need to take care of to do the garage conversion. Now, this is where we're talking about the partnership between the county and our inspectors and the homeowner to streamline the inspection process so that we don't have to spend, do 20 inspections to finalize this project. And that's how we intend to, achieve that. So the mandatory pre-construction meeting, this is, yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna be talking about that. So, oh, you already went through that, okay. So the pre-construction checklist that you're gonna see in the field that our inspectors are gonna go over with the homeowner, or if they hire the contractor, they can do that with them. Basically, the mandatory requirements, the project may not start until this inspection is completed. This document is not intended for new construction projects or projects containing additions. This document is intended for ADU and junior ADU projects in existing building, such as garage conversions, both detached and attached. So inspector office overview, inspection process, timelines, inspection checklist, contacts, plan details, site conditions. So then we will, I'm not going to go and read each one of them. Basically, he's going to go over site conditions, then the utilities, which are the existing utilities, existing structure, check like the footings, the existing footings, the visual condition, the depth of the footings, garage openings, slab condition. Then they will check the exterior and the interior. This is what they're going to be, the visual verification of existing weather-resistant barrier behind the stucco siding, and then the site protection, safety, and required BMPs. Basically, clean site, a safe site, stormwater protections, covered stockpile, covered unattended trenches, no work from public right-of-way. So that's what they're going to be listing on the checklist. We have some examples here, pictures of like some of the conditions of these existing garages. As you can see in the first picture, you can see the black paper there. It's all deteriorated, and that's one thing that that's you can readily see and will have to be repaired or replaced. On the second picture, you can see there's some, I don't know what they did there, but the studs have been cut off and there was some repair done, but they obviously, destroyed those studs, which they have to replace now because that's not acceptable. And then let's go to the third picture. Okay, here they dug up to see the depth of the existing footing, and it looks like they have about 6 inches there, which means that this needs to be underpinned. We showed you earlier the details that the standard details that we have for underpinning foundations, and they can pick based on the condition which one will apply. The next picture over to the right, you can see that the wall, the existing wall there, there's the slab on the outside and inside the garage. They're basically the slab outside is actually higher than the one inside, which means there's no room for a weep screed there. That's a problem that they always encounter. So that creates a problem for the wall because then there's no way for the moisture to go anywhere, which ruins the wall. let's see the next. Okay, here, this is inside an existing garage. As you can see, also, there's a lot of the 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 wall is the black paper there is deteriorated. It's it's all the water moisture is got in, and all of that has to be repaired and taken care of. And also, if you notice, they have I believe those are roof rafters. There's no ceiling joist. So the ceiling joist would probably have to be introduced. A new ceiling joist there would have to be introduced. All right. So, okay. So now, another way of streamlining now the permit process, we streamlined, like we said, the design plans by introducing the standard notes and details. They can have any type of floor plan they want. Uh, so they're not limited by the design of the floor plans. But if they have their floor plan approved by regional planning, and they bring those plans and they included our standard details for the structural and notes, and they bring in a Title 24, then they have a complete set of plan that we can go ahead and approve and issue the permits. Now, once we get to the issuing of the permits, we can issue a combination permit to streamline that permitting process further, instead of issuing a separate permits for building, mechanical, electrical, plumbing. We can combine all those permits. That way we streamline that process too. So pursuant to building code section 106.5.6, a combined building permit may be issued for new one family or two family dwellings and additions and alterations to one family or two family dwellings and attached garages, which will include all buildings, electrical, plumbing, heating, ventilating, and air conditioning work, but will not include grading and landscape, which require permits pursuant to any provisions of this code, or sewer connections. Per building code section 107.1, the total permit fee for a combined building permit as shall be 1.6 times of the building permit fee based on the project valuation. So the procedure would be combination permits shall be offered for ADUs and JADUs utilizing the standard notes and details to reduce the required paperwork and facilitate the permit issuance. Combination permits include projects containing more than one trade and shall be inclusive of the following two trades or more: building permit, mechanical permit, electrical permit, plumbing permit, sewer permit, demolition permit. The ADU-JADU program outlines a process to provide a standard of care and approach to the safe and compliant completion of ADU and JADU projects. Inspectors are expected to provide customer service by using the plans and guidelines to assist the owners and contractors with minimum code compliance within this program. Inspectors are expected to be solution-oriented by providing notes, comments, and suggestions that may assist the owner to minimum compliance. Inspectors shall provide links, access to program documents, and/or code sections as requested by the owner contractor in writing. Inspectors shall not engage in directing work, specifying or mandating the use of any specific products. Inspections are simplified in 5 milestones to simplify the inspection process. All inspections in LA County are combination inspections for projects having more than one trade. If a scheduling error occurs or if an electronic devices are not working, inspectors shall perform combination inspections on handwritten inspection notices. Handwritten notices may be photographed with a cellular device and/or tablet and entered in Epic LA as an attachment. Inspectors can email of inspection notices to the applicant to create an additional record. Communication using new and emerging technology are essential for improved access to project information and documentation. At Los Angeles County, building inspectors have various means of entering data, virtual inspections, Epic LA, written notices, etc. Inspection notices are sent in multiple forms of media via electronic mail, phone, messages, in written forms, or documented through photographs. Under California law, an electronic signature signifies electronic sound, symbol, or process attached to or logically associated with an electronic record and executed or adopted by a person with the intent to sign the electronic record. The Uniform Electronic Transition Act, UETA, Civil Code Section 1663.1, 1633.17 authorizes use of an electronic signature for transactions and contracts among parties in California. Inspection record notices delivered through verified county means and methods, electronically or printed, shall be deemed valid with or without signatures. No inspection record shall be made without verification by electronic communication and or by the person who performed the inspection. So now we get to the inspection checklist that we created. This is a very, thorough inspection checklist, and it's to be completed. Complete all pre-planning and coordination requirements, pre-job start inspection, applicant roadmap, and inspection checklist. First inspection will include underground utilities, identify points of connection. The second inspection would be the foundation/slab. Do not install any walls on slab until vapor barrier is approved. The third inspection, final frame, rough electronic, rough mechanical, rough plumbing, installation for walls and ceiling on site for verification. And then the fourth inspection, drywall, shower pan, and exterior lath, virtual inspection of the insulation or installation certificate prior to this inspection. And then there's the final inspection, number 5. So these are the 5 inspections that we are hoping will be enough. And then at the end, we have a note here. All insulation materials shall be on site during rough inspection for verification of the R value for ceiling and walls. Contractors shall coordinate with the inspector for photo, video, virtual inspection of insulation prior to 4th inspection, prior to moving forward to drywall installation. Insulation inspection with proper documentation verification will eliminate added inspections. So, and then we have, this is for a JADU, the previous one for an ADU, and it's pretty similar. Again, complete all pre-planning and coordination requirements. The first inspection is going to be underground utility, second inspection, foundation slab, third inspection, final frame, rough electrical, rough mechanical, rough plumbing, and of course, the fourth inspection, drywall, shower pan, and exterior lath, and then we get to the final inspection. And the note is the same as previously for ADUs as far as the installations. So we're getting to the adopting of, I can't see that, that's why it's not. Adopting a uniform procedure for existing legal non-conforming structures. Now, when you have a legal non-conforming structure, it's very important to pay attention to this one. What is an existing legal non-conforming? Legal non-conforming structures are structures that were legally built and or permitted from an earlier building code that may or may not meet the current code. These include existing structures having property line constraints and existing building or property line. For example, garages that are built right on the property line. Remember, there's a lot of those. Constraints on existing roof eaves, extensions, wall finishes, roofing. So these garages are built right on the property line. They will have like the eaves and the wall finishes, roofing, drainage less than 5 feet from the adjacent building or property lines, such as garages, storage building, and or portions of existing residential structures. Buildings over 120 square feet may have been constructed with valid permits pursuant to the codes and ordinances in effect at the time and date of their construction. So what is unpermitted? Any structure and or portion of any structure that was built, constructed without valid permits and or approvals, regardless of time and date of construction. So general, for the purpose of constructing an accessory dwelling unit, certain portions of the exterior of structures to remain in place due to legal property setbacks and constraints to achieve the intent of the ADU program requirements. Conversions located on zero lot lines or lots that require the applicant contractor to enter another property and or where architectural and geographical and topographic barriers exist may remain in place without modification if the exterior finish of the building structure is in good maintenance and meets the code requirements for the date of construction. This applies to existing roof eaves, extensions, wall finishes, roofing, and drainage. So if you have an existing garage that's right at the property line and the exterior finish is okay, and it's maintained properly, and there's an eave, which usually is, of course, encroaching into the other person's property, and you have a drainage a gutter, these are all in good shape. There's no reason to ask them to cut that eave and remove that drainage to meet the requirements of today's code. It's already a legal non-conforming structure, so you can let it go. Now, procedure. Authority having jurisdiction, inspector shall evaluate the condition of existing non-conforming conditions for exterior portions of structure to remain in place based on plans and setbacks, existing fire, rated, non-rated assemblies, weather protection, eaves, wall finishes, drainage, roof pitch shall be considered as acceptable to remain in place without alteration. All new and existing window and door openings must comply with the current rescue escape codes and setback requirements. We're not going to be easy on the egress requirements, so this one will enforce the code on the new code on it. General, exempting special inspection requirements for non-structural rebar and epoxy anchors. As you know, sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, the existing slab, maybe there's some cracks in it and they need to repair it, or they had to cut off the slab in order to put the new foundation because there's no existing footings there in the garage. So they have to cut a portion of that slab, and then they have to pour a new slab right next to it. Now, when they do that, they need to install some rebar and epoxy it to the existing slab, so they connect it to the new slab. We think the special inspection for this type of repair work would not be required, and this is where we're coming from. General, the existing California code, the California Building Code, CBC, requires special inspections to ensure that a standard of quality is maintained for certain types of work and installation methods. These requirements are contained in Chapter 17 of the CBC. Epoxy adhesives are in the special cases category, Section 1701.5.15. Special inspections for when epoxy adhesives are used may also be requirements stated in the specific products ICC evaluation reports. There are instances where an epoxy adhesive is specified in a construction project and where the use of the epoxy adhesive should not be considered a special case that is subject to special inspection requirements. The following are guidelines for the staff to assist in the decision-making process to determine if special inspections will be required when epoxy adhesive are used for a construction project. Procedure. Special inspection are mandatory for the following epoxy adhesive uses. Whenever special inspections for epoxy adhesive are required, by plan check approval, the design engineer, manufacturer, or the approved evaluation report. Exemptions. Exemption does not exclude required inspections for compliance and verification for depth and cleanliness of embedment. Special inspection is not required for the following. Whenever special inspections for epoxy adhesive are not required by plan check approval, the design engineer or manufacturer or the approved evaluation report. Non-structural concrete dowels, rebar for slab repair. That's what I was talking about. Dry dowels / epoxy. Rebar dowels into existing footing for the purpose of voluntary retrofit or addition to existing footings. Does not include any engineered design or foundation repair. Drilled in wall anchors, wedge anchors, tightened bolts. Existing complying foundation shall meet or exceed the minimum dimensions of 12 inches wide by 12 inches deep in natural grade, which excludes any portion extending above natural grade stem walls. Foundations not meeting the requirements for existing complying and or the thickness to accept prescribed hold downs, anchors, and embedments must be retrofitted per approved design details. So installing weather protective barrier for exterior repairs, deteriorated weather resistive barrier must be replaced per code. Exterior wall surfaces with incomplete, deteriorated, or damaged weather barrier, or stucco where the lath, nails, or attachment has been compromised must be replaced per code. Stucco and lath and weather barrier must have a positive attachment to the structure to remain in place as built. I think one of the pictures I missed saying that the lath was not anymore connected to the studs. So in those cases, they need to be replaced. Exterior lath section R703.1.1, exterior wall envelope shall be constructed that prevents the accumulation of moisture and provides a weather resistive barrier behind the exterior cladding or covering. Section R703.2, one layer of number 15 asphalt felt free from holes and breaks, complying with ASTM D226 for type 1 felt or other approved barrier shall be applied over all studs and sheathing on exterior walls with joints overlapped a minimum of 6 inches. Section R703.3, wall coverings shall be installed and fastened per the manufacturer's installation requirements. All wall covering systems nominal thickness per table R703.11. Section R703.7.2.1, a minimum of number 26 galvanized sheet gauge, corrosion resistant weep screed or plastic weep screed with a minimum vertical flange of 3.5 inches shall be provided at or below the foundation plate line on the exterior stud walls in accordance with ASTM C926. Weep screed shall be placed a minimum of 4 inches above earth or 2 inches above paved areas. Manufacturer framing systems may require architectural or engineering plans. Certain homes have been recently built using manufacturer wall roof truss system. Example, open truss design for high clearance may not have bottom cord ceiling joists. Some of these connections may cause conflicts with existing construction and require additional review, if not notate in the application process. If you are not familiar with the framing system or connection during the pre-construction method meeting, please contact your office plan checker prior to asking engineer plans and designs. Another set of eyes may easily resolve the issue. All right, this is the time we open it for questions or comments. Go for it. Thank you. Oh, yeah.
We have some questions.
Oh, okay.
Can they-
Okay. Yeah, can inspector ask for an engineer input at any time during the process? You mean the plan check engineer or the private engineer? Because you can always refer back to your plan check engineer for sure. Does regional planning has similar program and plan check timelines? Regional planning, they also have done some work to streamline their process, because we have talked to them about the ADU process, and they are also under the same directive from the board of supervisors to do the same thing. Yes. If the existing garage has concrete walkway, this is Amir. How are you, Amir? Has a concrete walkway all around the outside. Can the inspector ask the owner to demo a portion of the to determine the existing footing depths? Yes, of course. How else we're gonna know? That's part of the process. That's why we it was critical that the homeowner signs off on this program. Otherwise, we can't move forward. They have to agree to this, and part of it, they have to agree to the destructive requirements in order to find out what the existing conditions, and if they have to break the slab to get to find out the footing, the existing footing condition, then they have to do that. Yes. Mark, I have a concern with this existing garage slab sloping to the existing garage door opening. Are they required to remove the existing slab and pour a new slab, level slab with the vapor barrier? Most of these slabs, you're right, they have a slope, but a lot of times what they have done is we don't require them to break the slab or remove the existing slab unless it's really, really in bad condition. It's all cracked up and it's no good. But that's a decision that's going to have to be made by both the owner and the contractor. Now, most of the time, what I've seen and done is because they need to level that slab, they usually pour another slab on top of it. And the front of the garage, usually there's no footing, so they pour a new footing there. But that's what's usually done. And a lot of times they go in and they see that the slab, it's not worth it to save whatever's left from the slab if they have to underpin the footing, so they end up removing it anyways and pouring a new slab. But it's a call that has to be made on a case-by-case basis, really.
And they can show that to the inspectors during the pre-construction meeting.
Yeah, that's why we have the pre-construction
Yeah.
meeting, and that decision will be made at that time. So
Yeah. So thank you. I think Jana, Misha. Will the AD stream?
oh, Jana.
Yeah.
Hi, Jana. Any other questions?
Will this ADU streamlining be applied and used by local jurisdictions that hire LA County BNS personnel? So contract cities.
Yes, I mean, contract cities will have to make their decision on that. But for the most part, we've been getting a lot of positive feedback, and a lot of these jurisdictions, they really want to adopt what we've done. And by the way, all of our program, we're willing to share it with any jurisdiction, all the cities. We don't have a problem if you take the whole thing and copy it. So, yeah.
Any future expedited process for plans being prepared by licensed architect or engineer?
Yes, right now we have architects and engineers who are submitting standard plans for ADUs. Those are we're reviewing those. We have put together a criteria for those. Basically those they have to design for the worst case scenario when it comes to seismic and wind. And also for energy, they have to design for all directions. So we put together the criteria, and if they meet that criteria, then fine. But we also ask them to put a big block on the plan stating what the limitations are. For example, can this be used in a fire hazard zone? Can it be used in a flood hazard zone? Can it be used in a geological hazard zone? Can it be used in a methane zone? So there's a lot of conditions, and they need to be very clear on what the limitations are on those standard plans. And because it is, after all, a standard plan, it's gonna stand on its own. So if they design it for certain conditions, then it's only going to be used for those conditions and those conditions
That's the phase
within.
2 that we're working
Yeah.
on. Yeah, it's
So-
kind of in the process right now.
So those, yeah, but that again, that only helps people within the design phase of the entire process, right? Okay, so that will expedite the plan check process if they have a standard plan, but it doesn't expedite the inspection and the permit. Well, the permitting maybe, but it doesn't really expedite the inspection process, which is really, I think, in my opinion, is where the whole process should be concentrating on, because that's where it takes the most time and money. And I understand now what costs $400 per square foot to build, you know.
The change of use wouldn't trigger the fire rating requirements on regards to the property line distance, also cutting back the overhang. Isn't that something that we're trying to waive? Because we're
Yes,
zero lot lines.
we are trying to waive that because, again, remember, this is a non-conforming legal structure, right? So the code gives us that leverage. It gives the building official that leverage and the state laws. So we are trying to streamline the process. We don't want to make it more complicated. Now, if it's in good condition, if the wall is in good condition, it's been there for 40 years, you know, and it's not deteriorated, then why fix it, right?
Okay,
So-
and an old garage was built with 24, with studs 24 or more on the center instead of 16. Will it need to be changed?
Yeah, no, the 24 inches will not need to be changed for,
Depends on the pre-construction
but it depends,
meeting.
you know, yeah, it depends on the pre-construction meeting. Look, if they run their tile 24 and they use, you know, they make sure that in the program they say that the studs are 24 inches on center, and it passes, you know,
Yeah,
then
if
then
it's
then
if it's
then
okay
then
in the
there's no
field,
there's no issue,
there's no need to
there's no issue.
modify. That's why we had the
Uh,
12 by 12, right, foundation.
right.
If the 12 by 12 foundation looks good and it's still
Also,
stable, it should be fine.
exactly, if they have the existing footings 12 by 12 minimum, then we don't need to require them to underpin it too. So, but if it's less than that, then they have to.
For
Then
the
they need-
areas where they're installing new hold downs, then that's when we require them to retrofit.
Right, for the hold downs, if they need more than 12 inches, then they have to retrofit under that. But if the actual footing is less than 12 inches, then we need them to retrofit the entire footing.
Okay,
So-
can we get a copy of the presentation? I sent a copy to Eugene, so Eugene, it's up to you if you want to share it with some
Yeah,
others.
we'll make that presentation available either on the website or email it to the attendees.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Appreciate it. Yes, are you able to give this one to other chapters? Yes, definitely. If they would like to, we can even make a presentation there too.
Yeah, not referring to pre-approved plans, is there an expedited review process for plans created? I think we answered that by licensed professional or individual projects. Yeah, we're for
Yeah.
ADU, we're doing
For-
the phase 2.
Yes,
which is the
for
pre-approved
ADU,
plans.
you see, this is another thing that I would like to make a comment. I know the legislatures, they're trying to pass more laws about ADUs and to expedite the process or come up with even more strict things for the building departments to do. Honestly, I think now they're probably going too far, because I think the best way to help this entire process, the ADUs, is to really, for the building departments, to streamline their processes internally and just put, you know, make the ADUs a priority so they can move those and process them faster. I know at LA County, being the building plan check section head, I've done that, and we have created a whole section to so that we can move these ADUs faster. We have also are hiring new plan checkers also to help us with that. So if the building departments make that a top priority, maybe we can stop this whole legislature interferences and now how the building departments run their business.
And also, we're working on other phases as part of this program, like the
Right.
pre-approved plans, the minor additions not greater than 650, and then potentially
Yeah.
we'll address the unpermitted items, unpermitted ADUs at some point.
The
That's
second phase that we're probably going to be working on is like garage conversions with a minor addition, with a small addition, like people trying to add a bathroom or another room. That we're trying to work that similar to what we did with the garage conversions.
But we're
and
limiting it
others.
to like 650 because
Yeah.
we had a addendum passed out before that it's okay to do additions less than 650. So
Yeah.
that's something that we're looking into.
Yeah.
Okay, so
No, not
how is
referring
the
to
fire
approve
flow?
is there expedite. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
excellent.
How is
Thank
the
you.
fire flow
Thank you,
requirements?
Joseph.
How is the fire flow requirements of LA County being addressed?
Okay, the fire flow, we have the same rules that the fire department requires. If the ADU is way in the back of the property, it's more than 150 feet, the fire access, then then we're going to require fire sprinklers. If they are less, then they don't. Unless they are in a fire hazard zone, we're not going to require fire sprinklers if the main house does not have fire sprinklers.
And we've gone over back and forth with fire on this, that how do you measure the 150 feet? So that's something that we really have to clear it out because we're getting different answers. So it's actually coming from the street to the remotest portion in the back, but now we're getting answers from some agencies that it's 150 feet plus to the remotest distance of the ADU plus half the width of the ADU. So, and then we're getting different answers that it should not be in any unobstructed obstructed path. So we're getting that cleared up because I think what it's, we're not trying to impose fire sprinklers if we don't have to, but that's something that we got to clarify with fire department, and we're working on that.
Yeah. Thank you, John, for that great question there.
Okay, so do we have any question? What is the LA County doing with SB 9?
Oh, SB 9, I think I'm not up to date on exactly what they've done in regional planning as far as SB 9, but I think that's going to be the next wave after the ADUs, because I think SB 9, as soon as people catch up to it, it's going to explode like the ADUs exploded. But I have to check. I know regional planning, we're working on an ordinance to adopt the SB 9, but I don't know how far they have gone with that. So I'll have to get back to you on that.
Solar.
Well, solar requirements. The solar requirements for the existing structure, garage conversion is not required.
Only for new construction.
Only for new construction, I mean.
Okay. Any other question?
So,
okay.
All right.
One thing I just wanted to, I brought this up yesterday. We had a meeting about also standard plans with the cities that we are serving, city of Santa Fe Springs, and they want to do a standard plan ADU. So we were talking about the requirements. One thing I brought up and I wanted people to be aware of is, look, right now I know it's not in the code and it's not required for garage conversion ADUs or even new ADUs, and that is to have EV charging ready. As you know, everybody's buying EVs, and the infrastructure is not there to support that. So you have, if you want to really rent your ADU and get a better price for it, if you have an EV charger or EV ready, it will be a lot more desirable. That's just a plug-in.
Thank you, everybody.